So as the thumbnail says, spoiler warning for this video, only in terms of rare footage that people like me hadn't seen before. I went into this film knowing it was filmed from 2006 onwards, so knew it would descend into the dark times pretty quickly. However, it was good to see some better quality footage at the beginning of the film, of the well-trodden libertines videos we've all become accustomed to on YouTube. Nothing we hadn't seen before, but it certainly got the nostalgic juices flowing. Somewhere in the beginning you hear Doherty say the line, "If the whole world tells you you are the one, I defy you not to believe them, my son." It's a line from the Baby Shambles song The Man Who Came to Stay that's always stuck out to me, and it kind of sets the tone for the whole film really. There's not much early Baby Shambles stuff in the film, and then it feels like we're straight into the slog of addiction in the late 2000s, when the rest of the scene has started to fade away. Of course, Doherty didn't really need the rest of the scene to come with him, but I remember myself finding it hard to get on board with what he was doing from that time onwards, as it all felt very different and a bit passé. Which links back well to the film, as around 2010 they had the Libertines reunion shows, and the now famous press conference at the Boogaloo pub. What struck me about seeing this in the film was a line from Carl Barat. Doherty says he would like to forgive and forget in regards to the past, and Carl says, "Apology accepted." That kind of sums up the film for me a bit, as there's very little reference to the effect that his lifestyle choices undoubtedly had on the people around him. There's no real input from the people around him in general, but maybe this is deliberate. Maybe that's to protect other people or Doherty himself. Who knows? I just found it a bit triggering as someone who grew up with parents who prioritised alcohol a lot of the time. So maybe I had somewhat of an emotional reaction to that aspect of the film. He does say at one point, whilst in rehab, that he's blocked out feelings for 15 years, but doesn't go into detail. However, I do want to make the point that it's obviously great to see Doherty on the other side of his addiction, and especially great to see him on stage with his parents in the film. I won't spoil exactly what goes on, but after recently reading his mum's book, and just how tough it had been for the family, it was very good to see those relationships looking healthy. There was no mention of the Mark Blanco incident. Maybe they felt that wasn't part of Doherty's story. But it will be interesting to see if Louis Theroux tackles that in his interview with Doherty, which airs next week I believe. I sometimes feel I should mention the recent documentary that's been out regarding the incident on the channel, but then again it's not a crime podcast and people can make their own conclusions from watching it. As I've alluded to, the film mainly documents a bit of a grim time when hedonistic Naughty's Indie had been and gone, and at 35 years old and 6 months sober, I've somewhat had my fill of listening to hammered people shoot the breeze. But essentially I was a huge Doherty fan back in the day, so it's undeniably interesting to see his journey. Music wise, I probably haven't really rated anything he's done since his Grace Wastelands album released in 2009, so let's see what the new album brings. But who on earth am I to judge? The guy was electric back in the day, producing many great songs, and was a focal point of an extremely exciting era, which inspired the likes of me to pick up a guitar and start a podcast, and will continue to do so for many other people for years to come. But what do you think? Did you come away from the film feeling inspired by it all? Or did you leave with more questions? Have your say in the comments.